how to transform your small business in the area of marketing, sales, and customer experiences. Many of our score clients are familiar with this page. This is the business model canvas. We give workshops and we will likely give webinars right now during this crisis about the business model canvas. It is basically a business plan on one page. Your company functions are divided down into 9 blocks, 9 boxes. The business model canvas provides questions surrounding each of those boxes or functions. If you answer all these questions, you have a business plan, a concise business plan about your entire operation. Here, what we're going to do is discuss 4 boxes, specifically in the areas of marketing, sales, and customer relationships, where we will talk about the value propositions that you offer. And here we'll talk about the marketing mix, the 4 P's of marketing. The 2 that are involved in the value proposition are number 1, product, number 2, price. And then the last 2 P's of the marketing mix are place and promotion, which fall under the channels box. Then we will talk about your sales and customer experiences, how you digitalize that. And then lastly, we will look at how to digitalize your target segments. So with that, we will be able to cover pretty much all the marketing, sales, and customer relationship functions. Now, these target markets that you're going after, those segments, they actually consume your product with the different senses that us humans have. All these senses play very important roles in how you could digitize your product. What's important to note here is that the 2 senses that currently today we have a full capability of digitizing are the sight and the hearing senses. So with sight, the optical wavelength that come into our eyes, we could convert that with the use of a camera, for instance, into an electrical signal. We could digitize that signal into bits and bytes, store it, and redisplay it through monitors. Same thing with audio waves. We could do pretty much the same thing with audio waves. So as far as sight and hearing senses are concerned, if your clients are consuming your products through these senses, you're in a very good place to be able to digitize your product and serve it through cyberspace or online. The other 3 senses are a little more complicated. Actually, they're a lot more complicated, but there's a lot of research that's taking place right now in order to help us to digitize these senses. What's important to note here is that many of the products that are sold utilize most of these senses. So let's get started with the product. That's the first P in the marketing mix. That's the good or service that your company sells. We divided it down here into 2 different parts. One, the products that are fully digitally capable. So that's digital products and services such as audio, music, video, art, books, information, software, finance, insurance, education. All these products and services mainly involve the sight and the hearing senses, and they could be fully digitized. However, there are other products that are physical products or services, such as healthcare, travel, hospitality, construction, retail, hardware, food, apparels, household. These kind of products are heavily dependent on the other senses, such as taste, smell, and touch senses, which are hard to digitalize. And in these cases, what are you supposed to do if you want to digitally transform your product and your company? Well, the way you digitalize these is pretty straightforward, actually. What you need to do is to separate the audio-visual components and the informational components about your products from the other senses. So for instance, if you could capture images, capture the sounds, capture videos, and then create descriptions, specs, certificates, features, benefits about your product, create frequently asked questions with their answers, obviously, the success stories, testimonials, reviews, case studies. If you could create all that content and digitize it and store it online, that will give the ability for your target markets to consume at least the audio-visual and informational part about your products online. Now, how would you deal with the other senses? Well, your target market will have at this point to use their imagination. So through your description and the specs and the certifications, you could kind of give them an idea of what to expect in terms of what your product is going to feel like, what it's going to smell like, what's going to taste like. That's typically what you have to do if you're selling a tangible product, is provide a lot of that information online. And if you are an Amazon client, for instance, they do a very good job at providing all that information on their platform. So you go to purchase a product from Amazon, a tangible product, you will see a lot of that information. You'll see pictures, you will read reviews, you will see the specs, you may see additional features and benefits about this product. So they get you to the point as close as possible to understand what that product is online without actually having that product before you get to push that buy button. And then once you purchase it, they'll ship it to you within a matter of a day or two. You'll have that product. You could actually touch it, see it, smell it. And if you don't want it, you could also return it. So they bridge that gap for the other senses by providing you all that information online. Now, there's another key element to the success of your products online, and that is unless your product has a pretty strong brand, a brand recognition, or you have a lot on a digital marketing channel, there's a key element that you really have to succeed with your products online. And that element is what makes your product unique. So we strongly recommend to all of our SCORE clients to think hard about what their unique selling proposition or USP is. If you don't know what that unique selling proposition is, or if you cannot articulate it, then it's going to be very hard for you to be found online. The reason why that is because there is tremendous amount of information online and you'll simply be buried with the white noise that's out there. So for you to be able to show up on that first page of a search engine result, you have to successfully search engine optimize your content. And the best way to succeed is to have something that is unique, that will differentiate you from all the other products that are out there, so that you could emphasize that uniqueness and people will find you on the search engine when they search for that unique product. Even if you're doing advertising campaigns through pay-per-click, Google's pay-per-click, or for instance, Facebook ads, you still need to have that unique selling proposition in order to have an effective campaign that's going to return positive returns on your investment. Okay, so that is the product. The second P in the marketing mix is the price. Price is what the consumer pays, and price obviously is a number, so it's easy to digitize. However, there are different elements that you need to know about price that are important in the digital economy. For instance, if you're selling a commodity, nothing unique about your product, the price is going to be driven mainly by supply and demand. And if you are a small business, it's going to be very hard for you to compete against the larger businesses, which have the scale working for them as opposed to against them. So that's why it's very important for a small business, whatever they sell, that they have a unique selling proposition. And when you do, then what you have to figure out is what is that unique value that you're offering, and what that value is worth in dollars compared to the competing products that are out there in the industry. So that's one element. Another element is figuring out how to create a tiered price approach to your product or service. That could be based on either volume, on bundling different products or services together, or adding more options as you increase the price, for instance, on your service or product offering. For instance, if you look at the Zoom offering, the Zoom webinars, right? They have the freemium version, which everybody can use for free. You could use Zoom for up to 45 minutes if you like, without having to pay a penny. And then they have the upgraded version, which will enable you to have more than 2 people, for instance, join you in that meeting. And then you have the enterprise version, so on and so forth. So the more options you purchase, the higher the price becomes. If you look at Amazon, for instance, sometimes they help you or they recommend that you bundle certain products and you save some money by bundling. And obviously when you buy higher volumes, sometimes you get volume discounts. So these are the strategies you have to consider when you're selling online with regards to your price. Another element you have to think about is the shipping element. Many of us who are Amazon shoppers with Amazon Prime have been spoiled to receive product with zero shipping costs that get to our door within a matter of a day or two. And also, if you want to return these products, we don't have to pay for the return shipping. This is an element that you have to think about with regard to your price. You either have to factor in the shipping and return shipping pricing and factor it into the pricing of your product, or it's going to have to be tagged on top. But that's an element that you have to think about in terms of what you're selling, what your competition is selling, what's out there, and make a decision regarding that factor here. Lastly, you want to minimize the friction that a prospective client will have to purchase your product online by offering as many payment options as possible to that prospective buyer. So you would see on most websites, major credit cards are usually accepted. They would accept PayPal, Apple Pay may be an option for iPhones or mobile devices, and Square may be another option. There are many options, but the more options that you offer, the less friction will be for the purchaser to purchase your product online. So that's the price P. Now we move on to the channels, and that's the third P in the marketing mix is place. Place is the location where the product or your service is marketed and sold. And traditionally, and many of you have your physical locations, your stores, that's the brick and mortar location. That's traditionally what's been available out there. What we're telling our score clients is think in terms of what else you could offer in order to hedge your risks in the case of a pandemic like the one we're experiencing right now, or potentially the reoccurrence of potentially another wave of the virus that may come in that may require further or longer term closures. And the way you hedge it is by thinking in terms of creating additional locations or channels, and that's the digital or virtual channels. And we have multiple options digitally. You could sell your product through your website. You could sell them through social media. You could use simple as a phone or text. And those are digital means where you could present your products to your target customers and sell your products like that. Email is a good, effective, and efficient way of promoting and selling your products. Or if you don't want to invest in all these marketing tools, what you could do is pay somebody to do it for you. So you could have your products being sold on online resellers such as Amazon, eBay, Etsy, and there are many others as well. So think about hedging your bets. If you're just right now operating out of a physical location and you feel like you're struggling and you need other options, the digital realm may be an option for you as well. But how do you do that? How do you sell your product digitally? Well, what you need to do is create a digital marketing engine. And you create a digital marketing engine by first identifying and deciding on which channels you're going to promote and sell your products through. And here we have a webinar workshop actually that we give at SCORE that talks about all these digital channels in great detail and how to leverage each one of them, such as, for instance, online searches, which is also called organic search, or direct traffic that people come to you directly, either to your social media pages or your website by entering in your URL or domain name. Referral here, it refers to citations and links that are coming from other websites to your websites. Social are the social media platforms that are available, such as Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Email, these are the email blasts that go out, like the newsletters that we send out for you to be able to know about our workshops and webinars and register. That typically drives traffic straight to the website and creates conversions in business. And then obviously paid searches, those are the paid ads that we could purchase either through pay-per-click or Google My Business or Facebook ads or LinkedIn ads or Twitter ads. There are a lot of options available out there in cyberspace for you to be able to promote and advertise your product. So first you have to decide on the channels, and all these channels, basically their role is to create traffic and direct it to your website. Okay, once the traffic is in your website, you want to create a process that will convert that traffic into leads by capturing the information about your target clients, and then nurture these leads so you could convert it into an actual sale or turn these leads into customers. So you got to work on these processes so that traffic that comes to your website is actually capitalized on. And then the last item that you have to think about, and again, here in the digital world, what's really convenient is that everything is in zeros and ones and bits and bytes, and they could be stored, they could be tracked, they could be analyzed. And based on all these metrics, you could make some key decisions that could significantly impact your key performance indicators. So what's very important here is that you plug into, for instance, the Google Analytics tools or Search Console or any other analytic tools so that you could make educated decisions as to which channels are creating the most revenue for you or they're the more profitable for you, so you could scale these channels. And in the digital world, as I'll show you in a few minutes, there's tremendous opportunity for scale. The last P of the marketing mix is promotions, and that's advertising. And you could do that through all these digital channels that we talked about. But traditionally, people have been using for instance, snail mail approach, advertising on TVs, which by the way now has turned digital, and you could do that on YouTube right now if you like as well. Radio has turned digital. You could advertise digitally as well. Print media, billboards, some of them are turning digital with the high luminance LCD screens that you see right now on the roads. Trade shows are turning digital with virtual trade shows, same thing with flea markets. And word of mouth, which is always extremely important, but a lot of that word of mouth is actually now moving online on social media and such platforms. The more modern channels for promoting your product are the cyberspace channels. And as a matter of fact, as of last year, the total spending in promoting products in cyberspace has exceeded the spending of the more traditional ways of doing promotions in the past. So everybody has waken up to the benefits of promoting products online. And if you're not taking advantage of these benefits, then you're falling behind everybody else, possibly your competition. What are some of these options? There's a whole slew of them. I'm listing here a few of them: websites, email, social media, Google My Business, online media, virtual trade shows, webinars. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's tremendous opportunities in cyberspace for you to be able to promote your product. Now, what is important and what is essential for you to be able to do that promotion online? And we think that you need to have a digital foundation, and that digital foundation cannot happen without having a functional 2.0 website. And what I mean by a 2.0 website, traditionally, a website used to be just a one-way street, one-way communication between the vendor and the customer. So the vendor pretty much communicates to the customer all the customer needed to hear, and that was about it. With a 2.0 website, that communication became two-way. So now the customer could connect back with the vendor and provide more information and more details and potentially more input on their experience. In order to get a functional 2.0 website, our recommendation is that you use a content management system, such as WordPress, for instance, which is very popular with small businesses, and rely on some of the modern themes and some of the newer plugins. Those are the apps that you could plug into your WordPress site that will make it a lot more powerful. What you want to do is maintain your image and your brand with your website as with your brick and mortar locations. But also what you want to do is you want to use a platform that facilitates the display of your content on all devices, particularly mobile, because a lot of people right now are accessing all that information through their mobile devices and tablets, as well as their top desktops, obviously. Another very important element is search engine optimization. We have a digital marketing workshop, again, that specifically talks about search engine optimization and how you do it on your website. Also, what you want to do is instill trust in your content. And that's the most important element, because without trust, people are not going to buy from you. So you need to be able to provide on your website, your social media sites, testimonials, success stories, survey results, reviews are very important, and many other items the more you could establish out there that will help your target market gain trust about you, your operation, your product, your service, the better off you are digitally, because there is no more that physical face-to-face contact that you see in a brick and mortar type of activity. Very importantly, you want to create flows in your website that will lead the traffic from wherever they land on your landing pages to the forms that will convert them to leads. And that's what we call lead magnets. So your forms should not simply say, subscribe here to get my newsletter. People are just not interested in getting another email. You should have some really important information for them to want to give you their email address, or maybe a freebie that you could offer that they'd be willing to give you their name, email address, maybe their telephone number as well in order to receive it. And then last item obviously is to measure and track everything. Just like what we discussed, metrics are extremely important because they impact your key performance indicators and they will help you figure out what you need to do. One note I want to make here is that your web presence cost is a lot lower than brick and mortar costs. So do not skimp on building a functional and effective website. It's still going to be a lot cheaper than leasing a store or opening another location for you. I know there are a lot of tools out there that could help you create your website for free, but there are a lot of limitations for these tools. It does pay to have somebody build a functional website for you that knows what they're doing, particularly if you're going to rely significantly now and in the future on these digital channels. In addition to a website, you have to think about social media. Pretty much everybody is on social media today. And many of us obviously are familiar with Facebook. I mean, it's the largest platform for social media available out there with their own companies, Instagram and Messenger. They garner about 75% of the social media ad market. The total users in the United States exceed 190 million. So it's the majority of the people in the United States are on Facebook. The advertising that takes place on Facebook is typically business to consumer, but you see also business to business. Some of the advertising that we did to draw audience today, we did on social media, we did on Facebook. We targeted small businesses, so you could do targeting of businesses as well on Facebook. It's pretty inexpensive platform to advertise on if you could figure out exactly who your target market is. And we'll go over that in the next couple of slides. Another platform is LinkedIn. It's a professional social media platform. It has about 156 million professionals in the United States on LinkedIn. This is typically a business-to-business platform for advertising and for promoting your products and services. The costs of advertising on LinkedIn are much more expensive, around 10 times more than Facebook. But the higher average sale that you typically get from a business justifies the return on investment and justifies the cost of the ad campaign. Another platform that's very popular is Twitter. There's about 48 million people in the United States that are using it. Twitter is more of a spontaneous, real-time interaction with microblogs. Many of you are familiar with Twitter, and they will also offer the ability to advertise your products and services there. If your products are more visually driven with images or videos, we recommend you take a close look at YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest. They're very effective for the visual component. What I would like to point out here are the numbers, just the sheer volume of people that you can reach. So if you're looking at scaling, if you want to really reach to a lot more than the audience that maybe you have captured in your target market, these are great platforms to advertise on because they will give you the ability to scale quite big. So let's go through an example if we want to reach a certain target audience on social media. And here what I'm going to do is define a target persona that us at SCORE are interested in order to potentially reach them and persuade them to volunteer, become volunteers, SCORE mentors, so that they could assist small businesses and have them learn from their experiences. So the target market that we're going to try to reach here is affluent women that currently own a small business or are self-employed, who are interested in volunteering to help entrepreneurs and small business owners in the Sarasota or Manatee counties. And Spanish fluency is a plus because we do have SCORE clients that are Spanish speaking. Okay, so if this is the target market that our chapter at Minnesota here would like to reach, we need to digitalize that description here in a social media platform. And we're choosing here Facebook because of its sheer volume and because it's kind of the 600-pound gorilla in the industry. And when we target people in Facebook, we could also target people in Instagram and Messenger simultaneously. So to build a profile of this target market, first I have to define the demographics in Facebook. And Facebook gives me a lot of options in defining these demographics that you see coming up here, such as age, language, gender, location, so on and so forth. And they give you a tool where you could go in, you could start specifying. You want people that live in a certain location here, Manatee and Sarasota, with a 25-mile radius. I want to target people in the age of 27 to 64. The gender is women only. And the languages of interest are English and Spanish. So that's great. I've defined my basic demographic in basically just one screen in Facebook. Next, what I want to do is define some of the behavior of this target market. And again, here, Facebook gives me a lot of options. My interest here is to go after the business to business. So I want to go after small business owners because they bring in the expertise that we seek that could help our SCORE clients. And also what I'm going to set up as a behavior is Hispanic US bilingual, okay? Now, these are the two behaviors that I have set here, which is going to limit the size of the audience that I'm going to target. Now, I'm going to set some interests, which is going to expand a little bit on that target audience. And again, Facebook gives me a slew of features and interests that I could specify. And if I go in and I start searching for interest specific to what would SCORE mentor may need to have, for instance, people that have commented or liked Entrepreneur magazine posts. Same thing for Inc. magazine. Those are typically related to small businesses. People that have commented or liked female entrepreneur posts, lean startup company, entrepreneurship. So I specify as much as I can in order to define that target market that I'm trying to go after here. In addition to interests, I could set up some live events, and there are many, again, that are available to me. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to exclude the people. This is an exclusion. I'm going to exclude the people that are away from hometown. So if they're traveling on business or vacation, I don't want to bother them with my ads. They'll see the ad after they come back if that ad is still running. Also, Facebook tells you the size of that target market when you select it. So that's the worldwide number of people that are typically traveling or away from their location. Next, lifestyle and financials, because we're seeking affluent people that could afford to volunteer a significant amount of their time. I'm going to choose the household income of 25% or higher. So that defines the zip codes of which I'm going to be able to target. Okay, having done that, Facebook will create what I call is a digital target market for me here. The definitions that I just entered are created here. And also what it does is it tells me the size of my target audience. In this case, out of the 700,000 or 800,000 people that live in Manatee and Sarasota, we're going to be targeting 53,000 ladies. Now, if I wanted just to target Latinas, because I'm limiting my target campaign to just acquiring people that speak the Spanish language, all I have to do is modify here the Hispanic criteria to be must also match. So instead of an or, it will be an and. And therefore, what that does is limits my campaign only to audience that is bilingual and Hispanic bilingual. Notice here that now my target audience is fewer than 1,000 people. Okay, going back to the initial female target, now all I have to do is just come up with a post on Facebook. It could be an article, it could be a promotion, it could be a video. Put that post on Facebook, set up a budget, and start the campaign. It's as simply as that. And all these 53,000 people will start being exposed to that post that I just posted. Now, if you're not scored, obviously you're not scored. What are you going to do on your side? Well, what you're supposed to do is create a post that engages your users and kind of entice them to click on it, visit your website, and then convert these people to leads. And the way you do that is if you tell them, come to my website and get a 50% coupon. If you have a retail store or a boutique, this is a one-time purchase, for instance, where you get 50% discount. What you've done is you've just acquired a lead from social media where you captured that information about that lead, whether it is their name, their email address, telephone number. And with that lead, you could start creating a database of leads that you could nurture in the long term. That's how you segment your target markets. That's how you digitalize them. And that's how you use promotion to drive traffic from social media to your website. Now, once you've captured that lead, how do you digitalize the lead nurturing? So it's not just enough to get a lead. You want to nurture that lead. You want to grow it from potentially being a cold lead to becoming a customer. And you do that online with emails, with texts, with webinars, with virtual trade shows, all the different options that we mentioned earlier. So you got the lead. First thing you have to do is identify where that lead came from. Why is that important? If you know where it comes from, then you could start creating metrics and trying to identify if the return on investment is worthwhile for a certain channel and pour more money in that channel if it is. Once you also get that lead, you want to enter it in your client relationship management, customer relationship management tool, such as Salesforce or Dynamics or HubSpot. The reason why you want to put it there is because you don't want any of those leads to fall through the cracks and forget about them. By putting it in that database, you will forever have that information, and then you could track that information and you could keep notes about all the dynamics that happens around that lead that you just received. Additionally, what I highly recommend is that you try to collect as much information about that lead as you can, whether it is the full name, their email address, their gender, their home address, telephone number, any interests that you could get. You'll be surprised how much information you could get about individual by doing a search on them in Google or LinkedIn. Why is it important that you get all that information? Because the more information you have, the better you are at segmenting those leads into the personas that you want to target. And how do you target those personas? You want to target each persona with a customized email template specific for that persona, and potentially also a customized call to action. By making your emails specific to each persona, you're creating a lot more value to that persona with your emails. So they'll be more interested in reading and following you by email. Also, what you want to do is build nurturing campaigns and workflows. That's what we call drip campaigns. So when somebody becomes a lead, you want to first notify them, for instance, that you're welcoming them as a lead. Maybe a few days later, you send them out a reminder to make sure that they did use, for instance, that 50% coupon that they downloaded. A few days later, maybe you may want to invite them to an event that you're having. A few days later, you may want to offer them another promotion. That's what a nurturing workflow or a drip campaign is, where every certain period of time, they will get exposed to some kind of promotion, some kind of a value that you're trying to offer them so that you stay in their sight. As you know, out of sight is out of mind. You want to stay in their sight so that they know about you and then they purchase from you when there is a need. Also, you want to maintain a marketing calendar with all the important events, We just observe Memorial Day. Maybe there's a certain promotion that you do on Memorial Day. Father's Day is coming up soon. You got obviously the important ones in the digital space are Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So you may want to do specialized campaigns based on the calendar that you have. You do want to touch leads periodically, but you don't want to touch them too often to annoy them. And sometimes when you annoy them, what that does is they opt out, and you have to honor these opt-outs when they happen. The way you avoid or minimize these opt-outs is by always offering value with your email. Always offer value. So gauge the sending of your email based on the value that you're going to be providing those people with that email. One thing to note is that once you set up your lead nurturing workflows, they're up there and they're running 24/7, and they cost you virtually nothing. I mean, it's just automated process that will work for you. Whether you're open or shut down, it will continuously work for you, which is great. All right, so we've got the leads, we've nurtured them, we've got the leads to the point where they're warm enough so that they could potentially become clients. If your product does require human interaction to close the business, to get that lead to convert to a customer, you may want to consider leveraging your existing sales force as an inside sales, or potentially just move it completely inside, or create inside sales to complement your outside sales force as well. And what's important for inside sales is to have a pretty strong and streamlined and efficient sales process. And you as the business owner have to create that process. So that's basically the steps that a salesperson has to do to walk a lead to get it from being either a cold or warm lead to becoming a customer. That's the sales process. You have to define that very well, and you have to define in that process all the tools that are needed in order to accomplish this process. So are you going to need a computer? Are you going to need a smartphone, email account? Are you going to need the customer relationship management tool? All the tools that are needed, you're going to have to make sure that they are supplied to your sales guys, and you have to train them on how to use them, and how to apply that process. You want to monitor your sales pipeline constantly in the CRM tool. That's the customer relationship management tool. And when you monitor that pipeline, you don't want to just monitor the total results. You want to monitor individual salespeople results so that you could identify the people that may need a little more motivation or support or encouragement. And this way you could tell who your underachievers and overachievers are and compensate them properly. If you have a robust in-house or inside sale process, it could potentially completely replace your outside sales or complement. Now, we all know also that the sale is not the end of the sales process. There is customer experience involved. And what you want to do, particularly when you're working digitally, is be diligent about making sure that you're building customer intimacy. It's very easy to lose your audience online because of the lack of the physical face-to-face contact. And the way you do that is with different tools. One of them is online surveys. And as you exit this webinar, you will be prompted with a page in your browser that will ask you to complete a 10-question survey. This is done in SurveyMonkey. It is pretty easy to set up, pretty easy to use, pretty easy to complete, and you'll have a wealth of information that you could get from your customers. You could ask them to complete these surveys after the purchase, for instance, or on a periodic basis. But what you want to do is keep your finger on the pulse of your customer, and a survey is one way of doing that. Another great way of doing that is having them post reviews for you, either on Google My Business, Facebook, or Yelp. And you want to monitor these reviews, and you want to respond to them to show that you are actively interested in making sure that they are satisfied with the service and the product that you are offering. And this is also important to do on social media. You'll see a lot of social media platforms giving the users the ability to post reviews. But you could also monitor different metrics. You could find out how many followers, how many likes you have, how many times people share your post. That's an indication of how engaged your users are. If you have a newsletter, your newsletter subscribers number and the opt-outs and the click-throughs will give you an indication of how engaged your users are. Use these metrics, again, to keep your finger on the pulse of your customer. And then online conferencing, make sure that you use it when needed. Zoom is almost free. There are many other tools like WebEx and GoToMeeting that you could use as well. It's important once in a while that you have a face-to-face. If you can't have it physically with your customer, at least try to have it virtually. The idea here is that you want to maximize the social proof, because clients online right now want to make sure that you are proving your ability, that you are satisfying your client base. And many of us go through to see what kind of reviews people are posting about your business. What are people saying on social media about you and your business? So it's very important that you have a pretty solid image in terms of your social proof online. There are many benefits to digital transformation. We hit here on the marketing and sales aspects of it, but I think in a COVID-19 time, it facilitates the remote operations, okay? So you could basically keep your business operational even though you cannot be at your physical location, your store. It does create barriers to entry, particularly if your competition is not yet digitally transformed. It does improve work efficiency, and it does that by eliminating routine work and automating a lot of the processes. It prolongs your company's lifespan because it does give you different channels in which you could operate and sell your product. And the bottom line is that your profitability is going to increase over time. And there are many benefits to increase profitability. Some of them are listed here. A note that I want to make that's very important is that you don't just want to think about the destructive force that COVID-19 in order to force you to digitally transform your business. This has been an evolutionary process for many businesses. It's been going on for 20 plus years. So think about the opportunities that digital transformation could bring to your business, not just during COVID-19, but beyond COVID-19. For those of you who think that small businesses are at a disadvantage to larger businesses while performing a digital transformation, McKinsey, who did this analysis in 2018, ran another analysis, and they found out that actually smaller businesses are 2.7 times more likely to succeed with their digital transformation than companies who have 50,000 or more employees. And the main reason is because of the size and the agility of the company. It's a lot easier for a smaller company to make changes and adapt and transform than it is for a larger company. Now, if you look at this study that took place in 2015, also by McKinsey, which is still valid today, if you look at it, it may look a little complicated, but in reality, it isn't. The green shades indicate a strong digital transformation. The red shades indicate lack of digital transformation. Anything in between is kind of the gray area in between. And what I'd like to draw your attention to here on the left are the industry sectors. And as you could see, the top industry sectors listed here: information and communication technology, media, professional services, finance and insurance, wholesale. Those industries are highly transformed. They are very much into the digital transformation. They're already transformed. And it is no secret that those industries have survived COVID-19 pretty well. And the reason why that is the case, because they could operate remotely. They did not need to be in physical locations. So the social distancing that was imposed on our society did not impact their business significantly. However, on the other hand, if you look at the sectors that are on the lower end here, you look at hospitality, like restaurants and hotels. You look at personal and local services, like hairdressers and massage parlors and nail salons. You look at entertainment, like movie theaters, recreation, right? Gyms and other places, mini golf, for instance. You look at retail, trade, the boutique stores. Those businesses have suffered significantly during this pandemic because they were asked to shut down. And another way to look at it, lack of their ability to operate in cyberspace during this period severely impacted their ability to continue their business. So this is something to walk away with that I hope you'll look at, see what industries you fall in, try to see how you match up compared to your competition. They divide them down to 3 groups here. Assets, those are your assets. You could have digital as well as physical assets. These are the processes, that's your value chain and how you operate your business. And this is your labor, basically what's going to take to operate those processes. Is your labor automated or semi-automated, or is it all manual? These are the kind of things that you have to look at, and look at the opportunities that McKinsey highlighted in all these different boxes here, where they identified opportunities where people can improve and sectors can improve their digital transformation. So look at that as an opportunity for your business to look into in order to accelerate or move into the digital transformation realm. Last slide, and thank you for bearing with me, the digital tools. We're not going to leave you here with just theory. There's a lot of tools that are available that help you perform that digital transformation. These are very mature tools. They've been used for many years, some of them for 10, 20 years even. And they're proven to work. We understand that you may not have the expertise to operate all these tools on your own. Call your SCORE mentors, ask them for guidance in terms of creating a strategy in your digital transformation. If they can't help you, they could pull in mentors that may be able to co-mentor with you. And we will also connect you with experts that are local here that could help you implement some of these solutions in your business in order to help you digital transform. With that, we have one more poll. Janae, if you don't mind running that, and then we'll open it up for